We're not really meant to sit in chairs for as long as we do, so my first advice is to get up and move around more often throughout the day. Take regular 30-second micro breaks to stand up, march, squat, reach up, breathe, then get back to work. That being said, in reality, many of us have to sit at desks for long periods of time. So this video is meant to help draw your attention to the most important areas to pay attention to. I don't expect that you will sit in a perfectly erect, stacked position the whole time, but that you develop a good biomechanical baseline posture to return to when you are paying attention. The cues for thinking about your sitting posture are different than the cues for when you're standing. In standing, I cued you more to pay attention to what you're doing with your rib cage. In sitting, what you're doing with your pelvis and your butt is more important. The trunk's still important, but in terms of hierarchy of what to pay attention to, in sitting, it's how your pelvis is sitting on top of your hips. Your pelvis is like the foundation of your building. Ideally, it sits in a slight anterior tilt over top of your hips. That's what will set up the slight inward curve in your low back, rounded curve in your mid back, inward curve in your neck. A lot of people have a lot of tension in their hips, and it's more comfortable to sit where your pelvis back, so you're more in a big C through here. But when that rocks back, that affects how all the vertebrae in your skeleton stack up, and will tend to put you in sort of a bit more of a slouchy position. And a lot of us will catch ourselves in that slouchy position, immediately think, oh, sit up tall, and focus on using these guys. But if your pelvis is back, you'll notice if you start by just shimmying your bum underneath you, that will more correct your sitting posture than trying to hold yourself up with your back. So when you sit, think about your sits bones, the two bones in your butt you sit on. Every so often, if you catch yourself slouching, just kind of shimmy your bum on the chair. Feel like you walk those two bones a bit back and far apart, and make a gentle effort to think about your pubic bone in the front, like it's pulling down. So some of the muscles in your inner thigh and your lower abdominal muscles are what will tip your pelvis forward to give you a good base to sit on. Depending if you're really stiff or if you're really loose jointed, some people's attempts to do that anterior tilt will be back bracing, and you'll find they're the ones that you'll walk in the room and see you perching on the edge of the chair and you're back in this big sway. That'll feel comfortable until it's not, and you'll get tired and exhausted. These muscles will start getting sore, and then you'll collapse into a bit of a slouchy position, and then you'll sort of repeat that all day and start getting uncomfortable. So we tend to do this sort of cat-cow kind of thing, where with sitting, it's more important to realize that your pelvis can tip without this part of you having to bend. Keep that still and just rock your pelvis back and forth. So your sitting posture it's more important to try to see if you can do that little rocking motion. And if you don't feel like you have a lot of mobility in that, at very least, just every so often, shimmy your bum back on the chair and get your sits bones further apart so your pelvis is resting on top of your hips. And that's what you're trying to control for sitting, not trying to do this. So when you're sitting, your objective, if you're going to stay there for a long time, you want to try your best to use your bones to hold you up, not all your muscles and your fascia and trying to brace things. In order to stack your bones up in the most efficient way that they will appreciate it, ideally you have a little bit of an inward curve in your low back, a long arcing outward curve in your mid back, a bit of an inward curve in your neck. The posture of that is very much related, or the biomechanics of that is related to how your pelvis sits on your hips, which is related to all the tension and the deep muscles in your butt. So as we showed with Tiffany, this part can roll back or forth, and how you put weight on your sits bones, which is two deep bones in your butt you sit on, really helps set the foundation for when you're going up. So if you catch yourself slouching through the upper part of you, don't immediately try to adjust this. Try to feel like these guys, you're sort of shimmying back in the chair, and then try your best to rock your pelvis. If you're in that slouchy position, this will rock back, and your whole spine goes into a bit of a C, And now you're hanging off of the ligaments back here and starting to put a lot more strain on some of these vertebrae versus scooting your bum underneath you, trying to get your pelvis on top of your hips, and try your best to find something close to a long a sort of S curve in your spine, not be in that big sway forward or slouch back. This bony column is more efficient at holding you up than all your muscles are. We're not really built to sit at desks for 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day. So if you are going to, and particularly if you're on the loose jointed side, you're going to try your best to learn a bit of your functional anatomy of what your spine looks like.